Hello, friends. I'm here with KB Brower, a friend and partner of the Wendland Cook Program in Religion and Justice. My name is Francisco Garcia, and I am a graduate research fellow at the Wendland Cook Program in Religion and Justice at Vanderbilt Divinity School. And this is part of our Labor Day 2022 series, where we're trying to have conversations about what is the significance of Labor Day, and especially what does it mean to those of us who are at the intersections of faith, theology, social movements, and labor organizing. And so KB, it's great to have you here.
Wonderful to be with you as always, Francisco.
And so why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into a couple of questions.
Sure. So I got my start in the labor movement as a student organizer with USAS 14 years ago and have been doing union organizing ever since. I now work for the National Network Bargaining for the Common Good, which is a network of unions, community groups, faith groups that are all bargaining in a new way, where we're actually centering the needs of community, centering racial justice, and bargaining beyond wages and benefits. I got my start. My mom is a union member. She's a Teamster at a public school where she still is, hopefully retiring soon. But she worked as a cafeteria worker when I was growing up, and then landed this awesome union job as a secretary and has been doing that ever since. So I just saw how your life changes when you have a parent who has good healthcare and a union job and a voice on the job.
And tell us a little bit about your faith tradition.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I should mention that too. So I'm also a student at Union Theological Seminary and grew up Irish Catholic, but found my way to the Episcopal Church where I fell in love, and I'm now hoping to pursue ordination in the Episcopal Church over at UTS.
That's awesome. And so one of the things that we want to hear from you is, given that you have sort of been at these intersections of labor and now you're looking at how your faith relates and integrates to that, what might be exciting you right now about labor organizing and how it connects to faith and faith-rooted justice work?
Yeah. I love this question because I think it's a moment where I can descend into not feeling a lot of hope. But I actually do feel a lot of hope, and I want to share kind of a concrete story of a campaign that's giving me the most hope. And I think in general, it's where the labor movement and faith communities and community organizations are partnering on these big, broader, transformative campaigns. That really, I think, is the way forward. And it's how we win. It's how we transform our communities. And I was lucky enough to work on a campaign in Connecticut led by 1199 New England, SEIU, who I used to organize with. And they represent healthcare workers. So healthcare workers who actually work for the state and who respond to people who are having mental health crises. So they're the social workers where if someone is having a hard time, they call 911 and they're sent a social worker, ideally, right?
Right.
So these workers were going into bargaining, fighting for wages and benefits, but they actually said, we want to bargain for more than that, because what we see is that there's these huge gaps in services. We only are employed 9 to 5, right? So if you have a mental health crisis on a weekend, you're sent a police officer, not a mental health professional. And so the workers actually partnered with community organizations, racial justice organizations, because it's fundamentally a racial justice issue, and then organizations of formerly incarcerated people, and they bargained together for 24/7 coverage so that there was always a social worker employed to respond to someone having a mental health crisis, so that a cop is never sent. And I have to say, I live in West Philadelphia, where Walter Wallace was killed by a police officer while having a mental health crisis in his community, in his family. Absolutely devastating, totally avoidable death of Walter Wallace. And so I think unions centering racial justice, partnering with community and saying, yes, we're going to win the wages and benefits we deserve, but we're going to partner and we're going to win more than that because our communities need more than that. And I think that's the work that is moving me so much, is when we see that our interests are aligned, that faith communities and unions and community groups, we actually all have the same fight. And when we work together, we actually win just so much more. And I have to say that faith churches and some clergy played a crucial part of that campaign and actually came to negotiations, helped develop the demands and engage the churches in that fight. So very inspiring for me.
That's amazing, and something that is so tangible and timely, obviously, and directly relevant to the needs of the community. So thanks for sharing that awesome story. Mm-hmm. Now, think about for a moment then, on the other side of hope, what do you see not happening in many places, or what do you think more is needed, right?
I wish we had 7 hours because there is so much that is needed. But I think I'll say two things. One is I think that our campaigns in terms of centering racial justice, that the labor movement can do more and needs to do more on that. But then also that we need to partner better and partner for the long term, not just at the last minute for the rally, but really come together for these long-term fights. And one of the pieces of the campaign in Connecticut was also to say, okay, so many of us need more. Our communities need more money for our schools, for our healthcare, for the social workers being able to work 24/7. Where is this money going to come from? Actually, there's a lot of people, ultra wealthy people in Connecticut not paying their fair share. And so part of that campaign was really to look at who is defunding our states, and who is passing these anti-worker, anti-immigrant policies, and that they're the same people, and that we need to look at those people and look at having a fair tax system where they're paying their fair share. And I just think that's really desperately needed right now. And the other thing that I think of a lot is new organizing within the faith community. So just like workers, 7% of workers are union in the private sector right now, maybe it's less, right, in public sector, same thing. And so we need to go out and be doing more new organizing of unorganized workers. And I think that's the same for faith communities, is that I've seen in a lot of places, we have kind of the same 10 clergy we're all on the same page, the imams, the rabbis, and the pastors who we all agree with each other, and we show up to every rally, right? But then 90% of our congregations are left unengaged and, just doing what they do. So I think doing new organizing in faith communities to reach out to the evangelical church, I said it, to reach out to more conservative congregations, to reach out to more conservative mosques and say, I believe that people are movable because I've seen it in organizing, right? I've seen workers who are Republican, nurses who want a union, want to make their lives better, and then see, oh, actually, it's not my Black coworkers that are the problem here, it's my boss. And so let's unite together and change things. And I think we've got to bring that new organizing energy into faith organizing too, to try to change some hearts and minds, because I think if we don't, we're going to be in bad shape.
Absolutely. Well, you're speaking the language of solidarity, which I think transcends faith, labor, community, and I think it is sort of the key that will bring people together in new and more powerful ways. So thank you for sharing your insights and calling us to attention on these important issues. And,
absolutely.
Peace.
Happy Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day, friends. Please go out and do the work.
Absolutely.